This is not merely the account of a harlot in a collapsing city. It is the tale of what God notices when humanity only sees disgrace. Celebrate, O nations, for the Lord has delivered the city into your hands. Have you ever thought you were undeserving of blessings because of your history or family background? You believe you are beyond saving, too trapped, and already judged. When Jericho's walls crumbled, heaven ignored her past. It focused on her trust, for no one is too tainted to be rescued or too shattered to be chosen. The hidden spies, the crimson thread, the crossing of the Jordan waters. She transformed from a restored harlot to part of the lineage of Christ, the Redeemer. But how did such a change occur? What events connected one to the other? This is Rahab's biblical story. What lessons are waiting for us today? Joshua, the commander who succeeded Moses, remembered Israel's earlier failures. 4 decades earlier, Moses had dispatched 12 spies into Canaan, and 10 came back trembling. Then Caleb calmed the crowd before Moses and declared, "We must advance and claim the land, for we are certainly able to succeed." Yet those who had gone with him responded, "We cannot confront those people. They are far stronger than us." Numbers 13:30-31. That doubt postponed Israel's triumph for an entire generation. But as they now stood at the border of the Promised Land, Joshua resolved never to repeat that mistake. He sent only 2 men to explore the land in secret. This was not a public mission. No flags, no soldiers, just 2 men crossing the Jordan quietly at night. They were assigned to survey Jericho, the gateway into Canaan. Jericho was not a small place. It was fortified, guarded by 2 walls, and filled with seasoned fighters. A direct attack without information would be disastrous, but if its walls collapsed, the rest of Canaan would fall. The spies slipped into Jericho, but rather than remain outside or hide in fields, they went directly to a house built into the wall, the home of Rahab, a harlot. Then Joshua, son of Nun, secretly sent 2 scouts from Shittim. "Go inspect the land," he said, "especially Jericho." So they went and entered the home of a harlot named Rahab, where they stayed. Joshua 2:1. No one thought Israel's spies would hide there. It was a place known by many men, often visited, yet never honored. But Rahab somehow recognized them. She had heard reports. News spread quickly, even to the king himself. When the king of Jericho learned spies had come,
"Seize the 2 spies and bring them to me immediately."
The spies had scarcely settled when someone knocked at the door. Not a client, but the king's soldiers. So the king of Jericho sent word to Rahab, "Bring out the men who entered your house, for they came to search the land." The soldiers searched for the hidden Israelite spies inside her house, while her own king demanded honesty and loyalty. Rahab was trapped in the middle. One wrong response and she could die as a traitor. Yet Rahab made a surprising choice. She hid the spies upon the roof beneath the stalks of flax she had spread and told the soldiers, "Yes, the men visited me, but I did not know from where they came." At evening, when the city gate closed, they went out. I do not know which road they took. Pursue them quickly. You may overtake them. Joshua 2:4-5. So the men departed from her home and chased the spies along the road leading to the fords of the Jordan. Rahab made a deliberate gamble. But why would she? A foreigner, a harlot siding with Israel. What did she believe about the Lord of Israel? Did she seek anything in return? With the king's envoys gone, there was something deeper, something hidden, stirring within Rahab. Her decision wasn't only shaped by fear or mere survival. She had overheard stories of the Israelites, tales of their God, the one who split the Red Sea, the one who could destroy nations by his word. Awe of the Lord filled her soul. Rahab's faith was no longer far away. It became her strength. But would the spies trust her? Would they see her not as a harlot, but as a woman longing for redemption? So in courage, she approached the spies on her rooftop and struck a bargain with them. If she preserved their lives, they would preserve hers when they conquered the city. Please swear by the Lord, you will show kindness to my family, because I have shown kindness to you. Grant me a sure sign that you will save the lives of my father and mother, my brothers and sisters, and all who belong to them, and that you will deliver us from death. Our lives for your lives, the men replied. If you remain silent about this matter, we will deal kindly and faithfully when the Lord delivers the land. Joshua 2:12-14. Rahab had taken her stand and now requested mercy, not only for herself, but also for her household. The pact was sealed. The spies pledged Rahab mercy. But the most difficult part remained: escaping the city alive. Jericho's gates were barred. Guards patrolled the streets. The king's soldiers were likely sweeping the countryside. Rahab acted swiftly. Her dwelling was built into Jericho's wall, a dangerous spot for a home. Yet now it served as the ideal escape route. So Rahab took a crimson rope, which she planned to use to lower the spies down through her window so they could slip away unseen. But before the spies departed, they told her, "This promise you made us take will not hold unless, when we enter the land, you have tied this crimson cord in the same window you used to let us down. Also, unless you bring your father, your mother, your brothers, and all your relatives inside your house. If anyone steps outside into the street, their blood will be on their own heads. We will not be accountable. But for those inside with you, their blood will rest on our head if harm befalls them. Yet if you reveal our mission, we will be freed from the oath you made us swear." "Agreed," she answered. "Let it be exactly as you have said." Joshua 2:17-21. She placed the cord, and they descended quietly and secretly so no one would notice under the cover of night. The spies remained hidden in the hill country for 3 days before returning to the camp and presenting their message to Joshua. They confirmed that God had already delivered Jericho into their hands, and the time had come to take the city. Meanwhile, inside Jericho, Rahab fixed the crimson cord in her window and waited. But the rest of Jericho kept on eating, drinking, trading, unaware that destruction was right across the Jordan. At dawn, Joshua and the Israelites left Shittim and reached the Jordan, where they stayed before crossing. More than 1 million people, men, women, children, animals, were camped by the Jordan River. This was no hidden approach. It was a public act. They waited for 3 days, and Joshua then gave the order: "Sanctify yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will perform wonders among you." Joshua spoke to the priests, "Lift the Ark of the Covenant and go before the people." They carried it and advanced ahead of them. Joshua 3:5-6. The Jordan overflowed, its banks swollen with the spring floods. Yet when the priests bearing the Ark of the Covenant set foot in the river, a wonder took place. The flowing waters from above stopped and rose up in a heap, and the whole nation crossed the river on dry ground, just as their ancestors had at the Red Sea 40 years earlier. After they crossed, God instructed Joshua to choose 12 men, one from each tribe, and ordered them to take 12 stones from the riverbed. rocks from the dry river floor beneath the waters to form a memorial. God wanted future generations to recall his mighty power. On the 10th day of the first month, the Israelites left the Jordan and camped at Gilgal on Jericho's eastern border. And Joshua erected at Gilgal the 12 stones they had carried from the Jordan. He told the Israelites, "One day, when your children ask their parents, 'What do these stones represent?' tell them, 'Israel crossed the Jordan on dry land.'" Joshua 4:19-22. The people of Jericho grew fearful. They had watched Israel cross the Jordan. They had heard the reports for years already. The enemy was camped directly outside their walls, but Israel never attacked. They built no siege towers or ladders. They sent no archers nor threatened warfare. Instead, the Lord commanded Joshua, "Circle the city once with all the soldiers. Do this for 6 days. Have 7 priests carry horns of rams before the ark. On the 7th day, circle the city 7 times with the priests blowing the horns. When you hear them sound a sustained blast on the horns, let the entire army shout aloud. Then the walls of the city will fall, and the army will advance, each straight ahead." Joshua 6:3-5. And thus it started. On the first morning, just after sunrise, a procession appeared, and Israel's people circled the city once. Not a word was uttered, no weapons, no threats, just one silent march around the city before returning to camp. Day 2 was identical, then day 3, followed by 4, 5, 6. Each day they repeated the same ritual, circling Jericho's wall. But on the 7th day, they arrived earlier and did not stop after a single round. Only on this day did they circle the city 7 complete times. The 7th circuit finished. When the priests gave the trumpet blast, Joshua ordered the soldiers to shout, "Rejoice, O Israel, for the Lord has delivered the city." Thousands of voices thundered together, trumpets sounded, the earth trembled. The fortified walls of Jericho, the boast of Canaan, collapsed entirely. Dust clouded the sky. Stones crashed down. Screams rang out. Everyone rushed directly forward, and they captured the city. They dedicated the city to the Lord and struck down with the sword every creature inside, men and women, young and old, oxen, sheep, and donkeys. But Joshua spoke to the 2 men who had explored the land. "Enter the harlot's house and bring her out together with all who are hers, according to the promise made to her." Joshua 6:21-22. So the young men who had carried out the spying entered and rescued Rahab, her father and mother, her brothers and sisters, and everything that belonged to her. They led out her whole household and placed them safely outside the camp of Israel. The city of Jericho was consumed by fire with all that was inside, but the silver and gold and the vessels of bronze and iron they placed inside the treasury of the Lord's house. Only Rahab the harlot, her household, and all that belonged to her were preserved, because she had hidden the men Joshua sent as spies into Jericho. To this very day she continues to dwell among the people of Israel. But what significance did that carry? Rahab came from Canaan. She had lived a sinful life. She understood the law of Israel condemned such prostitution. Yet God had already provided a place in his covenant for strangers like her. The assembly is to keep the same commands for you and for the foreigner who sojourns among you. This is a permanent decree for the generations that follow. You and the foreigner will be equal before the Lord. The same commandments and rules shall apply both to you and to the foreigner who lives among you. Numbers 15:15-16. Rahab embraced their faith not only in speech, but in daily living. And then the most astonishing thing occurred. She encountered Salmon, a man of Judah's tribe, an honorable man, a loyal Israelite. And he did not regard her as a past prostitute. He regarded her as a brave woman of faith. They married and raised a son named Boaz. Salmon fathered Boaz, whose mother was Rahab. Boaz fathered Obed, whose mother was Ruth. Obed fathered Jesse, and Jesse fathered King David. Matthew 1:5-6. This family line continued until the arrival of Jesus Christ, the Messiah, as written in Matthew 1. Rahab, once a foreign Canaanite, was welcomed into God's covenant household. This was not merely an unusual moment in Israel's story. It was central to God's purpose to heal the broken, rescue the lost, and rewrite the story of all who place their trust in Him. Rahab's legacy extended beyond ancestry. She is also honored as a woman of faith. But why? Because Rahab trusted God's promise before she saw its evidence. She trusted His might before she witnessed the walls collapse. She risked everything, her life, her family, her future, on a God she had only heard about. By faith, the prostitute Rahab, since she sheltered the spies, was not destroyed with those who were rebellious. So what does Rahab's life signify for us today? It shows no one is beyond redemption. It shows God measures us not by our past, but by our faith. Kindly let us know in the comments section how this story has inspired you, and what other Bible stories would you like to see. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.